Do you regret not starting Metadata sooner? And how would you have fast-tracked the knowledge and know-how that's been necessary to launching your startup?
I do not regret starting Metadata sooner. There is, for different individuals, there is the right, perfect time to start a business. If we started too early, you're done.
I'm joined by Gil Allouche, CEO and co-founder of Metadata, a B2B marketing operating system that automates technical and repetitive tasks, allowing marketers to focus more on things like strategy and creativity. They've raised nearly $57 million to date. Gil, I'm intrigued by you and your company. I've got 5 pressing questions for you. Are you ready to proceed?
Shoot.
Your story starts as a software engineer from Israel to being in pursuit of an MBA in the US, then running product for different B2B companies, and ultimately landing in the world of marketing enterprise software. That's where you were exposed to the customer lifecycle, what it took to generate demand, and the day-to-day tasks that amounted to filling pipeline. As you progressed in marketing, it wasn't long before your entrepreneurial itch kicked in, and you recognized a lot of what you were doing was ripe for automation. You turned around, built a business, signed your first employer as your first client, and created what is now known as a go-to operating system for B2B marketing, Metadata. Getting to my question, what role did your collective experiences play in finding success as a startup founder?
Great question. So, it's always best to take advantage of take advantage of something like that you can transfer. So a skill that you can transfer. So my experience as a software engineer gives me the ability to imagine and then do kind of a reality check and what is possible. So you can have an idea, something that you want to implement. And then as an engineer, you can say like, I can build something like this. This is totally possible. I use this for that and I use this for that. And I can put up a solution together. That's the advantage that you get as an engineer, that confidence and the ability to build. Then as a marketer, especially as a new marketer, although I did it for like almost a decade, I realized I had fresh eyes, right? I never did marketing before. I didn't come from like a classic marketer background. I didn't write copy ever or do any design or creative kind of work. That was not my thing. So I jumped into this role from a completely different perspective, trying to figure out how to build this pipeline. Like you said, like I realized I had to do this day to day. And I basically engineered my way into it. I programmed my way into it because programming was a comfort zone. So I was like, how can I build a piece of software, stitch something together so that I'm successful at my job building pipeline. And so once it works for me, it worked for me in 1, 2, 3 companies. Then yeah, it was easy to make, do 1 + 1 together and figure out that I can build and repeat this for many others. And so engineering background gives you the capability to build. The marketing experience gives you very intimate experience with the customer. Like I know intimately the life and the pains of my customer because I've lived it for a really long time, and so I have a pretty good grasp from the field of what it means.
As an individual matures in business, they'll come to realize that perfect conditions don't exist, and that the idea of waiting for the right time to take your leap of faith is a widespread fallacy. The time to get started has, in fact, always been yesterday. Do you regret not starting Metadata sooner? And how would you have fast-tracked the knowledge and know-how that's been necessary to launching your startup?
I do not regret starting Metadata sooner. There is, for different individuals, there is the right, perfect time to start a business. If we started too early, you're done. Like even if you have the best idea in the world, it just didn't survive to the time where the market accepts your idea as the superior one. It's basically you're too early. I mean, there are so many startups that started too early and failed just because of that, even the best product. So no regarding Metadata, but absolutely, I regret not starting or not investing my entire time into a startup earlier. Before I paid my graduate student debt, before I did a few of these things that kind of gave me some comfort. Today I would say, fuck it. No, absolutely not. Like as early as possible. As early as that you want, you start.
Gotcha. And going off your initial point, when you're unqualified and you're not as experienced, you don't have that experience backing you, and you go out and you start something, I feel like you fail so many times that it also demotivates you. Whereas if you know your stuff and you're well equipped with knowledge, you're able to find more success, and that kind of drives you forward. At least that's something that I've experienced personally.
Yeah, for sure. But but in it, I would say with the entrepreneurship, the exception would be that by definition you're doing something that hasn't been done before. So there is, although there are millions of best practices, and this podcast, right, is an example. At the end of the day, you basically have to take action, even if you don't know what you're doing. And then the second time will be better, and the third time, and the fourth time.
Had you not become a marketer, you wouldn't have ever founded Metadata, or maybe even pursued entrepreneurship for that matter. I've noticed that in many ways, marketing primes your mind for business. There's something about the creativity, unpredictability, and lack of direction that marketing roles come with. Why did you make the pivot from software engineering to marketing? Because where you are today is largely due in part to that decision.
I would have started a company regardless. But yeah, probably not metadata, if not the marketing background. Uh, you know, the transition from software engineering to marketing was kind of by accident. I was at first doing product management. I was good at it, but it was very similar to my previous career. Some of it, like the PRD, doing design, and so I wanted to go more into the more into the sales side. I actually interviewed for a sales job and for the marketing job at the same time, uh, because that's what I liked, right? I knew how to sit behind the room and code, but I didn't know how to do the other part, the commercial part. I was never exposed to that, and I ended up getting the marketing job from the same company that I worked in product. The CMO hired me, and that role by itself would not have been good. I would have been bored, and he knew it because he came from the same college that focuses on entrepreneurship, Babson College, and so he gave me this business. He told me like, hey, look, you're gonna get bored with this role, so why don't you on the side work on this project? It's our cloud version of our product. It's grossing like 50K a year. We're about to shut it down. You're like a green MBA grad. Try to make something out of it, and if not, no one cares. And so like very low risk, and that was I think that's when I got the itch to do demand marketing, because I realized I ran some campaigns. We formed a small unit within the company, and within a year and a half, it was making like 2 million a year, and that was with zero budget. And so I could see the potential of what happens. I was like, shit, if this was my business, I would just make a business from like 50K to 2 million a year and a half. It sounds awesome. And I was like, we should do something with that knowledge, you know?
Yeah, I like how it wasn't daunting to you. Like you were motivated by taking on a large task. Most people kind of shy away. They're like, why should I take on all this responsibility? I'm kind of comfortable where I am, but you were excited by that. And that's kind of something that's really necessary when doing business.
I agree, especially entrepreneurship. Comfort zone is the danger zone. Like you can be in comfort zone for like a little bit, to recover, but absolutely constantly push yourself outside of your limit, because there is no growth happening in comfort zone.
You guys recently acquired Reactful. Seeing that prompts this question I've always had. As a leader, how do you weigh building versus buying? What's the thought process when you've recognized a need or a gap to fill and you're assessing the trade off of integrating an external organization's culture, tech, and structure versus building something internally from the ground up?
Yeah, build versus buy or partner is the ultimate question. I would say for me, if it is something that we consider core to our business and we have the DNA to do it in the company, we would do it. If we consider it core and we don't have the DNA to do it, we'll do a cost analysis of hiring and building this versus buying an existing. And yeah, culture-wise, we have a very happy culture in Metadata. It's kind of something that becomes attractive to other companies. So like so far, at least with Reactful, it's a fairly small team, small but very effective, and they're like kind of a natural fit into the organization. And so I agree that is extremely important. Otherwise, it's not gonna the integration doesn't happen. So ahead of time, we met the team. I met them very early in the process, and I'm gonna do the same. If and when we do those again, because that's gonna be vital to any integration of company the cultures.
I've noticed that startup founders typically make for the most understanding and approachable CEOs. And that's probably because there's a degree of patience and humility that's instilled when being put through the ringer as a founder. How has your character evolved while building Metadata as a leader and as a person?
Humility, I think, is a good word for sure. There's a lot that you learn really fast as a founder, so it's good blessings, you know. But I would say humility, absolutely there. Empathy, loss or degradation of cynicism. You know, it's harder to be cynical. I think the longer, like it's, I think some people become consider the other way around, but for me, it's like life is becoming less cynical, and so there's a lot of, I would say, a lot of on the personal side is a lot of people learnings that are really really impactful.
Gil, thanks again for your time. Any final thoughts you'd like to leave people with?
Thank you for having me. I would say for the listeners, you know, if you're thinking about starting a company, then just start it. Don't wait another moment. Um, and for the founders that are struggling, I would highly recommend and encourage you to have some kind of support network, advisors, mentors, friends who are entrepreneurs, so that you get a chance to remember that you're doing stuff with a group.